Pat, greetings from Canine Perspective. We are here with the long-awaited, since we technically asked you guys for these like a year ago and then never filmed it, but the long-awaited, ever-anticipated AMA style, ask us anything, get your training questions in, get your life questions in. So here we are, finally sitting down to record it. You are very welcome. He is very excited. I am going to get right to it. First question is for Jesse. We're going to start with the training ones because I know you love your personal ones. So let's do training first. Break you in a little bit. What's one thing you wish all owners knew or did before getting a dog?
Research. That people would research the breeds that they're adopting, because a lot of times people adopt breeds specifically because of how they look. A lot of dog breeds come with a reason why they're bred that way. Now, especially in the day of social media, you see it, or actually with movies, this happens a lot with movies. So when that one movie came out recently with the Belgian Malinois,
Yeah.
it was a couple of years ago. I remember in the training world, all the trainers like, can't wait to see the influx of Belgian Malinois, that people that have no business having one are gonna get one. And it's one thing if you get one and then you're going to actually follow up with the training and all that stuff, and then it happens even like a person who does a lot of research, because this did happen in the past with the client, did all his research, found the breeder that he wanted, and the breeder kept telling him no until the breeder got a dog that was a reject, meaning it wasn't going to be good enough for like police force or anything like that, but he was tame enough that he could be for like your average family pet, family dog owner or whatever. But this dog still was going to require upkeep, still going to require training, still going to require exercise, still going to require stimulation, all that stuff. And even with that dog, the guy's like, wow, this is a lot. And I was like, yeah. I was like, it's a Belgian Malinois. I ended up referring him to somebody else because I knew the investment that he was going to need, and that wasn't going to be with me. So it's easier to keep everything the same. So after I trained him as a puppy, I said, you want to go to this person. But, I've had people get Rottweilers and then don't know what to do with a Rottweiler, or they'll get like this power breed, and then the power breed or that dog ends up having like behavioral issues like aggression. And it could be, this does happen. You could be a 70, 80-year-old person who should be getting,
A poncho.
a Chihuahua, right? A little guy, or a goldfish. But nope, get a 120-pound German Shepherd. And then turn around and then, looking for help, as you should. But then when you call me and you're like, hey, I'm 77 years old, I'm retired, I have mobility issues, this and that, and I have a 120-pound German Shepherd that's like going after people or going after dogs when I walk them, that's probably my biggest thing. Is I just wish people did more research and then just really understood dog behavior and stuff like that.
Great answer, hon. Okay. What is one thing you've learned that has stuck with you your entire training career?
It's simple. Reward the things you want to see again. Correct the things you don't want to see again. That is the baseline of what I do. That is the foundation of what I do. And in the beginning, for those that don't know, I started as purely positive clicker training.
I almost don't believe him when he says things like that.
No, I started purely positive, and I was actually someone who, because I used to work at a pet superstore, that if you came in looking for a prong collar for your dog, I would tell you, you don't want to do that. You want to do this instead, right? And I got into dog training because I wanted to help aggressive dogs, because they're the dogs that actually need help to keep their home. And because of that goal, it kept me open-minded, and I saw the low ceiling that positive reinforcement alone had. So then I started to, push me to look for other answers. So then I started looking at the prong collars that I was telling people not to look at. I started looking at slip chains and slip leashes that I would tell people not to look at, and then remote collars and stuff like that. And then I realized, well, you reward the things you want, and then you correct the things you don't want. So I was raised old school. I was raised super strict, so like I used to have to get straight A's. And I remember the first time I got a B, like I got grounded. Doing chores and stuff like that. And so if I didn't do my chores, like I was just was just punished, which can seem mean, but looking back, it's actually like why I'm so strict with like running the facility or the structure and stuff, or even with dogs, because they thrive in black and white. And then, it's nice to think that we can use purely positive to fix everything. It makes you feel good to think you can use love and affection and treats to, fix your dog's leash reactivity, or fix your dog's aggression when people come over, or your dog's territorial behavior over the bed when you leave the bed, And I get a lot of clients that struggle, a lot of clients that take very good care of their dog, but still struggle with the behavior. And I'm like, it's because you cater to them too much. So you have to be both the positive reinforcement aspect of it, and then of course you have to be willing to correct them to the level that they need to be corrected in order to balance out their relationship. But if everything starts to go one-sided, then behavioral issues can come up. And yes, of course, you can get the dogs where you can do everything wrong, so to speak, and then still have a good dog. But a majority of dogs, in my opinion, would actually sway into like behavioral issues and stuff like that. But those two concepts are the core of everything that I do every day as a dog trainer.
This one was further down, but it's actually relevant while you're on this same train of thought. Why do people absolutely hate Cesar Milan? He seems like such a nice guy and honestly much less strict than you. What's the deal?
I hate him too. No, Cesar Milan, again, for those who don't know, is my primary influence. He's my first influence. And then Richard Hines is my second influence because I did an internship with him.
Hey, Richard.
But, essentially, for Cesar Milan, when he first came into the public eye, he gave 0 fucks about what everybody thought was correct, in my opinion. And he was correcting dogs. He was using techniques on television that were looked down upon by the positive reinforcement side of the industry. And then in the public, it can look bad, right? To see you, and this is why when I describe things, I have to be careful with my words, because you'll see Cesar and he'll use his foot to correct the dog.
Oh.
Right. And some people go, oh, he kicked the dog. Mm-hmm. Right. That's how people against him will phrase it. Mm-hmm. And I'll go, well, he heel tapped the dog. Because you'll see him where he'll tap him on the side of his heel, like they would a horse.
Can I interrupt really quick? I was walking Luna, and this was like maybe in the middle of training with you, or maybe, I can't remember. Or was I just out when we were dating? Whatever. I was walking Luna, and for whatever reason, she didn't have her e-collar on. And there was a dog coming at us and like slack leash. I was like, this is just going to be an issue. But I couldn't cross the street because there was like a car coming. So I was like, well, we're just going to have to like heel walk past this dog and hope for the best. And so I gave her a quick heel correction. And the woman didn't...
Heel tap, correction.
Heel tap, yeah. Didn't say anything to me, but she looked at me like, I'm going to call the cops on you. You just kicked your dog. But I wanted to be like, I know your dog's energy was not a fit for my dog, and she was going to bite your dog. Like, we're on this little sidewalk here, like, and it's on Clifton in Lincoln Park where there's no, what do they call the promenade, boulevard or whatever. Like, it's like literally the sidewalk, like someone's fence, a sidewalk, and a car. There's not like extra space anywhere. It's one of those rare streets where there's no like boulevard. So I was like, I corrected my dog, but like, the look on her face.
Yeah. Because it looks bad.
Yeah.
And so when he first came on the scene, he was using the alpha roll, he was using physical touch, and he explains everything very well. And I watched his first 5 dog whisper seasons 3 times. That is how I learned how to do his methodology. That's how I learned how to do physical touch. It's how I learned, and it's the baseline for the structure that I have here at the facility. This wasn't invented by me. It was inspired, and I was like, well, and my thing's always been, if he can do it, then I can do it, right? But because of his approach, because he was coming at it from an instinctual approach, dogs bite each other. If you can see it on the camera, I got a dog bite here. This is the one I always. It sucked when I first got it, but I love it in the sense that here it is, because my other bites are covered. I have a bite here, I have a bite here, I have a bite here, right?
Yes, he does.
So this one is because the dog got spooked, didn't want to go in the kennel. Not an aggressive dog or anything like that. So once you understand dogs for dogs and go like, well, they bite each other, they bite humans, right, as a form of correction, For let's say they're trying to guard their bowl, their food bowl, and you go to touch their bowl, you might get bitten. If the mother just had a litter and you try to go into that litter early on, unless she really trusts you, you're probably gonna get bit. There was a viral video going around of a pit. It was a female pit with her puppies. I'm pretty sure it was a pit. The dad comes in. The dad.
Dog dad or human dad?
The dog dad.
Dog dad.
Dog dad comes in and she, boom.
Wow.
And doesn't like bite him, but you see her just assert herself and then bite him with an assertive bite, but no punctures to go, you're not coming near the puppies.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So once you understand for dogs, and you treat them as dogs, including in how you communicate with them, then you start to make a lot of progress very quickly. So they hate him because of that. He's, in my opinion, unfortunately, softened up a lot because of celebrity status. And
I've seen a lot of his videos, like even when I just sign on to do stuff on our Instagram feed and his videos will come on, I'll watch them. I agree with the commenter who says like he seems way softer than you. Okay, so he has considerably softened up.
Yeah, he softened up, and he's older now too.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand he's in the public eye, things like that. I remember there was a case where I believe it was a blue heeler on a farm, had gotten hit by a tractor, a farm tractor, a couple of times. And I think, if I remember correctly, the dog lost an eye.
Oh, gosh.
Because they got hit by a tractor and literally popped the dog's eye out. So Cesar used the e-collar, and you see the dog going after the tractor. He corrects the dog with the e-collar, right? And then there was this whole like backlash. And this dog literally had been hit by a tractor and lost its eye to the tractor. And people were up in arms because he used an e-collar to correct the dog to stop the behavior that will one day cost it its life.
Cost it its life, or lose it its home, or decrease its quality of life. I think that's the biggest thing for me that I've learned about e-collar is that the quality of life 180s. And that's what I wish all those haters would understand is that, this dog is able to keep its job on the farm, keep its family who lives on the farm, and keep its life in this case.
So
that's crazy.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
And I thought it was dumb that it was like a press conference. It was literally him at a table, mics, like this whole press conference.
What did he say? Like, sorry, I e-collared a dog? What did he
Yeah, well, I mean, he said like, he kind of phrased it, and this is from memory, this has been a long time, but he kind of made it, in my opinion, he didn't agree. I know he didn't agree, but the way he phrased it made it sound like, I know e-collar, whatever, can be seen as bad, but this dog lost an eye already, this and that. This is literally life and death for the dog. And if I don't fix the problem, either the dog's gonna get hit, run over, and die, or like you said, lose its home.
Lose its home.
And
then the owner's heartbroken too. It's lose-lose.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna take that dog. No one's gonna adopt that dog.
Yeah. But that's continued even now, which is why, me as a dog trainer that uses e-collar, like all I do is e-collar. Like, it's still prevalent and still around or what have you, but it doesn't bother me because I know what I'm doing is correct.
Yeah.
Like I know that like it's like when people start to second guess, because this happens with clients, like I can already tell that they don't like the e-collar, but they'll do the training. They'll see great progress, mind you. And then someone in their life will tell them, oh, you don't have to do that. You can do this instead. Or they'll go, oh, that's barbaric or something, right? Which they were already having doubts about anyways. So what happens is they flip and they'll dump the e-collar and they'll go the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting thing. And I've seen it a few times with clients because I've been doing this for 15 years. And it's going to happen. Like I get it. But this is why I'm so adamant on like I want people that who want to train with me, who want their dog e-collar trained.
Yeah.
Because it's less fallout from stuff like that, you know. But it is what it is.
This is a fun one. What was your most challenging case? The laugh. Stop. Don't. That's not funny. I was a very good client. I did my homework. I was awesome until I decided I had a crush on you.
Awkward. My most challenging case was Doug.
Oh. If you guys are on our social media feed at all, you've seen Doug the Thug. We love Doug. I can handle Doug. Doug is number one?
Doug is number one, but not because he was Doug.
Okay.
Because of something I didn't find out till later.
Oh.
And nothing bad. But Doug showed up for his consultation on gabapentin, trazodone, fluoxetine. He was on 3 drugs. And I remember because I made this joke to the owner, Angela, during the consult, and she's like, "What do you think about the medication?" And Doug's actively trying to attack me, and I'm like, "Well, it doesn't look like."
If you guys, is it public on your YouTube?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, you guys can find that video on Go to Jesse's YouTube. Oh my gosh, the consultation is actually hilarious because Doug is actively trying to kill you.
Yeah, and like he's on 3 drugs. So I said it as a joke, but so Doug did training. Doug was taking off of fluoxetine and trazodone. However, he was kept on gabapentin. So Doug's aggression in the beginning was pretty up there. So our levels, we always start low, we work our way up. His correction levels were up there. But then there came a point where we weren't really making any progress. Okay, we're at like a standstill. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. So we ended up doing, this is super rare, 2 collars. Where one remote can be paired to 2 collars, both collars go off at the same time. Okay, so it just allows us to increase the pressure because every animal has a breaking point.
Now people in the comments who hate e-collar are really gonna love this.
He still wouldn't give up.
Wow.
He still wouldn't give up the aggression, no.
Wow.
And it didn't matter how high we went, and I'm doubting, the owner's doubting, like, what we're doing, safe and stuff like that. I'm like, this is all right. We always start low and we work our way up. We take our time. And then, so I think we took a tangent. We continued the training and stuff, but we stopped pushing that one behavior. Fast forward when I did the interview with Angela.
Oh, yeah, our little client testimonial.
Yeah, she did a testimonial because Doug's been great. Doug's made a ton of progress, and he comes to us, and he's a staff favorite here. He's just
we love
a big lazy guy.
We love him. Yeah.
But he was on gabapentin still. And for those that don't know, gabapentin is a painkiller. And I didn't tie all these things out till later because I don't look into fluoxetine. Don't look into trazodone or any of that stuff because, in my opinion, they're not related to the behavior, right? So and then this makes my brain kind of what's the word? It's like static, like dissonance, because it doesn't compute for me. Understanding dogs, I'm like, what does a painkiller have to do with the aggression? What does the painkiller have to do with the fact that he's just a resource guarder or territorial over his owner, right? And this happens a lot, right? You see a dog put on a drug for resource guarding, and I'm like, resource guarding is completely instinctual. Like, it's just what the animals do. But then once I was made aware of that, all these things started clicking. I'm like, that's why he wasn't giving it up, is because of the gabapentin. And now Doug has been for quite some time off all drugs. And the way I figured this out is because one day he was in the ISO pen, he just happened to become reactive, which is like super rare for him. Yeah. And he had his collar on, and I tapped him like at an 80, and I was about to bump it up, and he goes, blah, right? He was a big old jump and yelp. And I look at the collar, and I look at him, I'm like, what the? Because I'm so used to him just taking it. Right. And then that's what I brought up to the owner, and then that's when it came up, about the gabapentin, and then that's how I connected the dots. I'm like, that's why he wouldn't give it up, is because he was so hopped up on that painkiller that he was just overriding all the collars. So now if a dog shows up on gabapentin, I will tell the owner to get the dog off of that drug. Yeah. I typically don't care fluoxetine, trazodone, whatever, but gabapentin, I will tell the owner you need to remove the dog off of that drug if we're going to do remote collar because of that.
That's so interesting. I've never actually heard you talk about that. That's cool.
So the hardest case, but technically kind of not the hardest because of the drugs. So.
One more shout out because Angela, I'm sure you're going to see this. We just love Doug. Doug's great. Doug the Thug.
He's come a long way.
He has come so far. I remember when I first came to work for Canine Perspective, and I was not allowed to handle Doug because he was new. Because I think your consultation was at Campbell, was at the old facility. Yeah. No. I was like, because I'm obviously like a novice, like I'm the lowest of the low of the handlers on staff, which rightfully so. So there's like dogs that I don't handle for behavioral reasons, and Doug was like literally the top of the list. And now I can do anything with Doug. He's so nice. He's a good boy. Ready for the next question? What is one thing Elizabeth does that you disagree with but are able to shrug it off?
With the dogs? I mean, I you still think what's the word? An example was like when you were gonna take the dogs for a walk and it was a lot for you. It was very in the beginning when Burrito was little.
Yeah.
And I was like, just take Luna.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about Lexi and Poncho. And you're like, oh, but they're gonna feel like they're missing out. That.
But they do miss.
Yeah, you recognize that as a human, but they don't. Once they're gone, they'll wag their tails for a little bit and then they go and they lay down.
And then when I come back through the door, they like hound me, like, Mom, my turn, right?
No, they're just excited to see you.
I think they know.
They don't.
Okay, who's the trainer here? I think I know better than you. I'm working on it. I love my dogs. That was a good one. Okay, this is the last question that is just for Jessie. What would you look for or avoid when picking out a shelter dog?
Look for or avoid. I mean, it's tough because dogs can change according to the environment. So Buddy,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know Buddy?
Yeah.
Buddy was in a foster home. Other dogs, social, no problems, no aggression.
Really?
Once he got put into a home, he started having aggression towards the husband, outward aggression towards like general public, other dogs, stuff like that.
Crazy.
So unfortunately, you can't predict because once you pull the dog out of the shelter, the foster home, what have you, once they settle in, that's when you start to see the real dog. But it takes 2 to 4 weeks for you to start to see the real dog once you bring them home, whether from the breeder or from a foster, from a rescue, all that stuff. So, that's why I think research is more important because if you bring home, if you own Rottweilers your whole life and you've had 8 Rottweilers and you're still, a fairly young buck and you get your 11th Rottweiler and they happen to have behavioral issues, like, well, you already have experience with the breed. Now it's just like the behavioral issues. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when you go from, I used to have a multi-poo and then I went and grabbed this 100-pound dog or what have you, or like I got this pitty, what have you, and then it has problem behaviors, then I think that's the biggest issue. So, and also, if you bring the dog home and they start to display behaviors that you are yourself not capable of handling, or even don't want to handle, have no guilt taking the dog back. People get guilted into not wanting to take the dog back. And I had this recently with the consultation, and not recent, it was like maybe it was last fall, so like half a year ago, or a year ago because we're going to the fall now. And this lady was fostering a pitty who had a very high level of fear and aggression. And I walked into the home and it was very apparent. And she wanted to train the dog and then rehome the dog, and she was going to pay for the training. And I told her, unfortunately, the training will only apply to who trains the dog. So that means you. And then I told her, I was like, if you're going to keep the dog, then I can help you. But then at the same time, I told her, you don't want to keep this dog. It's very rare for me to tell someone you don't want to keep this dog. Yeah. Okay. Because she lived in a studio the same size as this. Yeah. And I told her, your space is so small that if there's a mistake, an error on your part, person moves the wrong way, does something, there's no escaping this dog. And this dog was up there, but yeah, you unfortunately you can't predict. But if you research the breed and you've done your homework or you've like over the course of time built up to that, you had a small dog, then you got a medium dog, and you're like, okay, now I want my large breed dog. Like it kind of makes sense. But other than that, it's hard to say just because I've seen so many things where the dog seems fine in one environment, they go into a different environment, and all of a sudden they start to show their true colors.
Crazy. All right, good. That was the last one for you. We have some for both of us and some for just me. Which one do you want to do? I might pause the video and then restart again.
That was fine.